All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the world's most exciting classroom. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I will be your host for today. I can hardly wait to get into this action because we really do have an exciting morning planned for you, depending on where you are in the world. I guess if you're in the Eastern time zone, it's morning. But if you are across the Atlantic, it's getting towards the end of your school day. And hopefully we have people joining us from other places around the world as well. So as we get into things, I want to remind all the classrooms who are tuning in via YouTube today to get in on that chat sidebar. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what grade level you are. And of course, get your questions ready because we are going to have lots and lots of questions. So I see we already have classrooms saying hi in Glasgow, in Ottawa, in Elmira. So keep those coming in. We want to see where you're joining us from. But we are excited to get your questions and take you with us into the field. So the Oosterschelde does not sit still for very long. We have left Uruguay, continued our way south along the coast of Argentina, and we are in Puerto Madryn right now. The Darwin leaders are in action, getting their project started. We'll get an update from Stewart McPherson shortly, and he will tell us all about what the Darwin leaders are up to. But today we have joined a good friend of mine, Pablo Borboroglu. He is amazing. He is the founder of Global Penguin Society, doing incredible conservation work with penguins around the world. And we are joining him out in the field in Argentina at a penguin colony. So that's where we're going to spend our morning. And standing by for us on this beautiful sunny morning in Argentina, in Patagonia, we have Stewart McPherson. So let's bring him in. Hey, Stu, how are we doing?
Hello, Joe. It's lovely to see you. How are you?
Pretty good, but not as good as you right now.
Well, it doesn't get much better. You might be able to see a little hint of what's coming up behind me.
Stu, watch out behind you.
Yes. Have a little look there. We've got an action-packed morning today with the incredible Pablo, who you're going to meet in a second. But just really quickly, an update from DARWIN200. As you mentioned, the ship has been sailing south from Uruguay. Last world's most exciting classroom, of course, beamed into live to the ship while it was sailing. It arrived a few days ago in the beautiful city of Puerto Madryn, and we have 5 amazing Darwin leader projects, studying a rainbow of subjects from pumas to seabirds to grasslands to whales and dolphins. So we're featuring them next week if anyone would like to join. Well, I'll show you now the stars of our event today on this beautiful beach here in southern Argentina. We're very, very honored today to be joined by some very special conservationists. The incredible Pablo and the equally incredible and wonderful Candelara. And we're going to have a report later from Joe, from the from Grant, from the wonderful DARWIN200 team on RIAs. But first to our wonderful penguin conservationist friends. Pablo.
Hello, how are you? It's great to be with all of you. I'm thrilled to be here with my colleague Candela, and we are in the middle of a fantastic penguin colony. The name of these penguins is Magellanic Penguin because it was Ferdinand Magellan that described them and found them like 500 years ago. That's why it is called after him, Magellanic Penguins. And this is a very special colony with 8,000 breeders. There are 8,000 males and females that are breeding chicks, and that's what they are doing right now. But you know what? We discovered this colony 15 years ago when there were only 12 penguins, but they were in deep trouble because there were severe disturbance. There were a lot of people coming here, not respecting the birds. There were reckless people throwing garbage, making barbecues close to the nest, so they were setting the bushes on fire close to the penguins. They were bringing dogs and other problems, and they were hunting. So we started working very hard with our team from the Global Penguin Society to protect this colony. And you know what? The penguins responded to that. And year after year, they kept on coming. And as I told you, 15 years ago, there were 12. Now, there are more than 8,000 breeders. And that's what we are doing here. We do research. We protect the colony. We protect the ocean that penguins need to find the food. And we also bring a lot of kids and children that live close to the penguins, just like you, because sometimes they don't have the chance to visit them. So we want them to know what penguins need, because when they grow up, just like you, they will be able to protect the colony, to protect the penguins, and all our planet. And now I want you to introduce Candela.
Hi, I'm part of the Global Penguin Society research team, and we are doing the monitoring of this colony and another one of the Magellanic Penguin too. And we are doing the monitoring of the babies now in November and first days of December. We having eggs, and we are monitoring the eggs. Penguins lay 2 eggs per season, and we follow weekly this colony, and so if the babies are okay, if the eggs are okay. Also, we put some equipment to them to record the trips that they do to feed the chicks. They go to the sea to find the food and bring it to the chicks in this season. And we put some equipment to know the routes of the penguins on the sea. And also we attach underwater cameras that record the behavior underwater of the penguins, and we can see where they feed, if they interact with other animals and each other too. So it's so interesting to take all this data in this colony.
So one of the amazing things about these penguins is that they can live up to 35 years, which is a lot for an animal of this size. And the other thing is that they're very loyal to their nest. They really love their nest. And year after year, when the breeding season starts, like most of them, they come to the same nest and they meet their partners. And we have followed couples that have stayed together for at least 17 years. They swim a lot. You see them that they look very fragile, they're very small, but you know what? They swim 10,000 miles per year. And that means that if they live 35 years, during their lifetime, they're swimming the equivalent as going around the planet 12 times swimming. So these are amazing creatures. They're very well adapted to live. They have adaptations to live in the ocean, but also to live on land, because they need a dry place to build a nest and to take care of the eggs and the chicks. And now we can introduce you to the chicks, the penguin chicks that Candela was naming. So Candela just found one of them.
Right there. Right there, we had one chick in this nest, and right that is the another one.
Oh yeah.
They have 2 chicks, 2 beautiful chicks, so healthy, and she's taking care of them. They're so beautiful.
So I'm not sure if you heard that. There was 2 chicks there. Could you see them okay? We'll have another quick look.
Yeah, let's take another look. Oh, that's absolutely beautiful.
I don't think a penguin like that has ever seen an iPhone before, so it's having a little look.
Probably not.
Candela, how many chicks would each pair have a year?
Yeah, they lay 2 eggs and they raise 2 chicks per season. And almost every year they put 2 eggs and have 2 chicks. In the breeding season, there is from October, late October to January. In January the chicks fledge and they go to the sea for the first time.
Wow.
And then they have the molt time, that is in April, and then they go to the migration trip, that is 5 months on the sea feeding, and it's always they're always in the sea.
I think Pablo wants to explain how they actually raise their chicks. How do they do it, Pablo?
Yeah, so one of the main problems for the penguins is that they want to protect the eggs and the chicks from predators and also from the sun. So they build 2 kinds of nests. Some of the nests are on the bushes. We don't have trees in this area because it doesn't rain a lot, but we have small bushes. But the penguins, they build their nests under the bushes, but also they dig burrows. And if you take a look here, for example, or here, we have a fantastic burrow. So they dig a hole on the ground, using their bill and also their flippers and their feet. And then it's like a small cave. And then they incubate the eggs inside the cave. You can see here, inside. Some of them are very, very deep. So this nest is fantastic because it has a big roof So the aerial predators, like other gulls or other birds, they don't see, they are not able to go into the nest to steal the eggs or eat the chicks. But it's also fantastic in the summer because it's a roof. Because this is interesting. There are 18 different species of penguins on our planet. And only four of the 18 species of penguins on our planet, only four live in Antarctica and they like the ice. So the other 14, they live in areas just like this one. This is warm. They don't like cold temperatures. When winter comes to Patagonia, they go to the north. They go to Brazil. They go there and they spend the winter there because the temperature is better. They have more food. So this is important to remember. Not all the penguins like the ice. The only penguins, this is because most of the Hollywood movies, Happy Feet, The March of the Penguins, they were made with Antarctic species. And we think that all penguins like the ice. But in summer, we have temperatures of over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is over 40 degrees centigrade. So these penguins are adapted to live in the ocean in cold temperatures, but they have adaptations to cope with the extreme heat. Of course, penguins do have problems now. Out of the 18 species of penguins, half of them are considered threatened. And this is because penguins are facing problems in the ocean and also on land. In the ocean, fisheries, also pollution, and when they are on land, they are affected by human disturbance, as this colony before, and also by the human disturbance and the introduction of new predators, And this is what we do. We do research so we can identify what penguins need. And we work very hard to protect the habitats, the places that penguins need to breathe, but also to eat. We create protected areas here so penguins are safe. They can have a happy life. They can breed the chicks, just like Candela described, in a safe environment. And when they go to the ocean, we make sure that they are safe in the ocean. They can find enough food.
There's just a nice big group coming here. Pablo, perhaps you can explain why these guys are walking down to the water and why they move inland and out to the sea again.
Right.
So just have a little look here. Guys, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's penguins all over the place. We'll have a quick little walk around, then we'll get the answer from Pablo.
All right.
Walk together with the penguins.
Yeah.
We can see them heading to the ocean. That's so cool, Stu. It's amazing.
So they're nesting in their burrows all up in this area here. And we'll find out from Pablo. Look over here, look. There's lots of them coming to the sea. Let's find out from Pablo why they march. Why do they nest inland and then go to the water? Look, all of them, look. All the way along here. Pablo and Candela, why do these penguins march inland all the way up there and then come down to the sea? Why do they do this? Why do they make so much energy to go inland?
So it's unbelievable, but some penguins, they nest 1 kilometer far inland. So imagine you are a penguin. You have to go into the ocean. You have to swim hundreds of kilometers, get the food, come with the food in your stomach. But then when you come on land, you have to walk all the way because penguins do not fly. So they have to walk all the way, get to the nest and feed the chicks, It is very interesting because there are like highways and routes and streets within the penguin colony. So they leave their nest, they meet with other penguins, they get together, and then they go into the ocean. We call penguin highways. And it's interesting because they are very active going to the ocean early during the day. And then at dusk, at the end of the day, they go back to the colony, most of them. And it's amazing because at that time of the day, they start braying. The way they vocalize, it's like a donkey. They go like, huh, 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 huh. But imagine thousands of penguins braying at the same time. I think it's one of the most amazing wildlife spectacles on the planet. And we are so thrilled to introduce you to our penguins today.
Look, there's some more coming down here. Look, Candela, look, there's a little group there. Yeah. Do you think those guys are hungry? Are they going out to sea for food?
Yeah, they are right here. We can see in some time. They are purposing. They are jumping out of the water to swim faster, to get the food faster. And they are here in the beach, like, hanging out and also are near of the sea because of the heat. They the wind of the sea are so fresh, so they are here like.
What predators do you think the penguins would have? What animals? A predator means an animal that eats another animal. What predators do you think they would have here?
They had here elephant seals, also least usual. We can see orcas here too, and also sea lions eat penguins. Yes,
Wow.
they are the three main predators in this area.
Is the population going up here, or is it going down, or is it stable? What's the population doing?
Now it's going up, but we are continuing the monitoring to see how the colony responds with the changes of the environment generally.
I just have to show you, there's a little guy here coming right past us. Look. Oh, we don't want to scare the poor little chap, but he's having a little walk down to the water. There he is there.
So Stu, now that we've learned a little bit about the penguins from Pablo and Candela, I think now would be a great time to do the Kahoot quiz.
Sorry, Joe, could you repeat that?
I said, now that we've learned a little bit about the penguins, I think now would be a great time for the Kahoot quiz. Well, we have tons of students hanging out.
Absolutely. So Joe would like to do a Kahoots quiz, and perhaps our friends can take part as well.
All right, excellent. So students who are tuning in with us, I'm going to share my screen and bring up our Kahoot. So you can see that the password you need to go to the website kahoot.it.
Sorry, Grant, we're coming to you.
Kahoot.it. And then the PIN number is 883-0053. So if you have one-to-one tech at your desk, you can jump on with a Chromebook or a tablet.
So it's questions, it's competition.
If you are joining us from home, you could use a tablet or a smartphone to scan the QR code and come in and join us. If you're in the classroom, but you don't have something at your seat, maybe your teacher could put it up at the front of the classroom and you can shout out your answers.
They'll ask a question, you can say if they're right or wrong.
Or her. So we have tons of students.
I'll get the vertebrae. Now. I'll bring it here, okay?
About a minute or two to let all the students get into the Kahoot. While students are joining, Stu, can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are hearing you very well.
All right. While we're waiting for the students to join, we have a couple questions that have come in the chat already. So we're going to ask you a question here, Pablo.
Perfect.
And the first question is, these penguins, Mr. John's class would like to know, this is Rain, would like to know, is it the male or the females that take care of the chicks?
Perfect. So the question is, who takes care of the chicks? And maybe Candela can answer that.
Yeah. Penguins share the chicks like race. It's okay.
The duties.
The duties, yes. Each other. When one goes to the sea to find the food, the other one take care of the chicks on the nest. So, and they change the terms.
And they never abandon the nest.
No.
Because there has to be always an adult in the nest guarding the eggs or the chicks, because they can be eaten by other predators. So both of them take care of their chicks.
All right. We still have students joining, so I'm going to ask one more question here. And this question is a good one from our fourth graders who are joining us. They've heard a lot about bird flu, and they're wondering if that's impacting penguins in Patagonia.
Yeah, so bird flu is a disease that has been impacting many different species, particularly birds, because it's a disease that started on birds. So we are having the avian flu outbreak that started like 3 months ago, but unexpectedly we have a lot of sea lions and elephant seals affected, but not penguins. And we were ready to start seeing affected penguins. But for some reason, they're very tough, they're very strong, and they have their immune system to cope with the disease, because we are seeing other birds that are dying around, but not penguins. So for some reason, they're resistant to the disease, and that's fantastic news for them.
All right. We are going to get into our Kahoot now. We have hundreds and hundreds of students who have joined the Kahoot. There are 6 questions today. and you have 20 seconds for each question. The quicker you answer the question with the right answer, the more points you're going to get. So here we go. Let me get the Kahoot started. It's going to count us in with 3 seconds, and then we are going to get into our questions. So let's see what we learned about the penguins today. So question 1 coming up here in the Kahoot. Where are we joining the penguins from today? Was it Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, or Argentina? So where are we joining the penguins today? Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, or Argentina? You've got a couple more seconds to get your answer in. You've got a clue on the screen.
Where are we joining the penguins from today? Which country?
So the kids have to answer, or do we?
Yeah.
Look, they're choosing now. Look, see?
Perfect. Oh, I see.
Okay,
Wow.
Argentina. Good job, crew. Let's see who is in the lead. The eager swan is in that top spot. Let's go to our next question. It's a true and false. There were only 12 penguins in this colony before the conservation work started. Is that true or is that false? True or false? There were only 12 penguins in this colony before the conservation work started. Whoa, those answers are flying in. Over 300 answers already in.
That might be a good
All right, that was true. Good job, crew. That puts the Polite Otter into first place. Our next question. How many Magellanic penguins are in the colony now? Is it about 1,000? Is it about 4,000? About 8,000? Or about 10,000? About how many penguins are there now? We know there was down to as little as 12. Where are those numbers now? About 1,000?
See the answers coming in.
8,000? Or 10,000? All right, good job, crew. There are about 8,000 penguins now, so the conservation work is working. The lovely bobcat is in first place. We go to our next question, another true and false. The Magellanic penguins lay 4 eggs a season. Is that true or is that false? So we saw them in their burrows. We saw some chicks. How many eggs? Is it 4 eggs a season that they lay? True or false? All right, that is false. They have 2 eggs in a season. So good job to the students. The wise bear taking the lead. We have another multiple choice coming your way. In a Magellanic penguin's lifetime, they could swim the equivalent of how many times around the world? 4, 7, 12, 20.
Still.
4, 7, 12, or 20 times around the world.
Sorry, Grant, we are coming to the dinner quiz. Sorry, I know you've been waiting for ages.
We won't forget Grant. We'll come and get the Rhea update next, I promise. So about 12 times in a lifetime around the world. What does that do? The diplomatic Yeti is in first place. We have our final question now.
Last question.
Most penguin species are found in Antarctica. Is that true or is that false? Most penguin species are found in Antarctica.
That's a really good point because most people associate them. Yeah. I was in Galapagos 3 weeks ago organizing the Felitos.
All right, let's see. All right. Ooh, a little bit of a split, but that is false. Pablo told us there's 18 species of penguins. Only 4 of them are found in Antarctica. The others can be found in other places around the world. Let's take a look at our podium now. In third place, we've got the lovely bobcat. In second place, the majestic hamster. And holding down that top spot, we've had a change every single round, is the hero crab. All right. Well, huge shout out to all of our students who played with us today. If you are the hero crab, you have an important job to do. You need to send me an email. If it's a class or a student in a classroom, reach out to me at this email address, ebtsoyp@gmail.com. We have a £50 Amazon gift voucher for you. So the hero crab, you need to reach out to us right there, ebtsoyp@gmail.com. Let's bring our beach folk back in. Whew, Stu, that was an intense Kahoot.
to all the winners. If it's okay, well, before we hand back to Pablo and Candela, we've got one little special surprise for you all.
Absolutely.
So, as you know, we do the Curiosity of the Week each week, and we've got one coming up, as usual, beamed live from the Darwin studio. However, we found something very special on this beach, and the wonderful Grant is going to give a quick update about the bird life he's been seeing and pose this question. So, over to Grant.
Hi, everybody. I'm Grant. I'm the ornithologist working for DARWIN200. So I'm leading all of the wildlife surveys that we're doing from the ship. I'm really excited to tell everybody that we saw about 30 new species of birds just in the last 2 weeks. And one of them was just this morning. It was a really cool bird. It was with the lesser rhea, basically South America's version of the ostrich. And we saw several of them just running across the road there. They're wonderful birds. They're like very characteristic of the grassland environment. And Darwin famously ate several specimens of them.
So Grant has a curiosity. Perhaps he can describe it and let the kids see if they can put in the chat box what they think it is. Grant, hide that one. What have you got? What have you got there, Grant?
Well, I've got this, pretty crazy structure. Tip it down a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Or just if you tip down, or tip the camera down.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
There you go. Perfect. So I've got a peculiar little object over here. It's pretty heavy. It's kind of rough on the surface there. It's not totally smooth.
How heavy is it?
I'd say, about like maybe a third of me. Maybe about kilos, like maybe 20 kilos.
So, Joe, perhaps you can ask everyone to see if in the next 30 seconds, if anyone can guess what it is. What do you think this object here is?
We have tons of guesses coming in already. Most of them are saying bone of a whale vertebrae, whale. Someone's guessing maybe a humpback whale vertebrae.
Oh my! They smashed it. We were not expecting them to be so good. We'll hand back to Grant. Grant's got something to show the comparison. Grant, what have you got?
So in comparison over here, this is our vertebrae of the whale we have here. We also, the beach is scattered with remains of all the penguins that have lived here. And we've got a little vertebrae of a penguin for reference there. So if you guys can see, if we hold it on its side, just like the whale, there's our side-by-side comparison.
So children, if you look at your back, if you put your hand to your back and feel those knobbly bones along your back, all up and down your back.
So
we'll use Grant as a specimen. Grant, stay there.
okay.
So your vertebrae run down your back. If you feel those knobbly little bones, that is that bit there of the whale. Isn't that incredible? So well done, Grant. That's an amazing find and a wonderful special curiosity.
The spinal cord goes through there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll hand back now to our wonderful friends.
Amazing. Well, Stu, I was thinking we should get to classroom questions.
Good idea.
So if you're tuning in with us via YouTube, use the chat sidebar and send us in your questions.
We've got some questions, maybe rhea, maybe penguins. You'll say.
But I'm also going to start bringing in the camera classroom. So we'll start getting some of your classrooms as well. So let's start off in Kitchener, Ontario, in Canada. Miss McIntosh's class is hanging out with us. How we doing, everyone?
Say hi, everybody. All right, Gertash.
Hello, my name is Kurt Dolvage, and have you ever went underwater to do research on penguins?
Oh, so let me ask that a little louder for you guys.
Oh, louder.
Have you ever went underwater to do research on penguins?
Estudiado penguins in el mar.
So yeah, thank you for that. So one of the things is when you are under the water with them, they get scared. They think you're gonna eat, so they really swim very fast. And one of the things we use is that, like Candela said, we study them putting them underwater critter cameras on the back of the penguins. So they film each other, and we are learning how they interact with other species, with other penguins, how they get together to look for food, how they jump out of the water as well. And now there are other devices like what we call ROVs, which is like a drone that goes under the water. So in that way, we can study them and they don't get scared.
That's a good question.
All right, let's grab one more.
That was a very good question there.
Definitely, yeah.
Hi, my name is Krish. What are the different species of penguins around the world?
Sorry.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about some other examples of penguin species?
Hay unos otros ejemplos de otras especies de penguins, por ejemplo, tropical Galapagos.
So the question was, what are some other species of penguins? Can you explain a little bit about different species of penguins? What makes them different?
Okay, so you got different species of penguins like groups. You have crested penguins, which are the species that have these strange feathers like crests on top of their heads. Those are amazing because they're yellow and reddish and orange, and they have red eyes, and they're fantastic. Then you have the big penguins, the emperor, the one that lives in Antarctica, which is the largest penguin of all. And it's the only creature, the only living creature that can survive in the winter, incubating eggs with temperatures of minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit and storms of over 100 miles an hour. And then you have the smallest penguin of all, which is the blue penguin, which is very, very small. They live in the south of Australia and New Zealand. So you can see there's a wide variety of sizes, colors. They are magnificent. And we always like to say that if there is magic on this planet, a lot of the magic is in the penguins.
Oh. And just to emphasize Pablo's point earlier, because it's a very good point, most people think, as he was saying earlier, species are cold living in Antarctica, but there's a tropical species as well, isn't there, Pablo? Tell us about the tropical species.
Exactly. We do have the Galapagos penguin. Unfortunately, the population is very small. There are about 2,000 pairs, but they live near the tropics. They live, close to the northern. It's a penguin species that lives closer to the northern hemisphere, and they live in lava caves. So if you get a chance to see a documentary film about the Galapagos penguin, or get to Galapagos and see a penguin, you're going to be very, very lucky because those guys are amazing, really amazing.
We're going to try and beam live from Isabella Island in Galapagos in a few months' time, in April, May next year. So with a bit of luck, we will actually beam live and we could bring Pablo in and talk about the Galapagos penguins actually from the Galapagos. So we really hope to do that in a few weeks' time, or a few months' time.
Perfect.
We're going to go now to another classroom. They are joining us in Bristol, Connecticut, Southside School. Let me bring them in. How are we doing, Connecticut?
Hi. How are we doing, guys? Good.
All right. Who's got a question for us?
Okay, go ahead, Liam. Go up to the camera. Okay, this is Liam.
Nice and loud, Liam.
How many bones does a penguin have?
¿Cuántos bones tiene un penguin?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a tricky question, Liam.
Between 200 and 300.
Yeah.
Between 200 and 300.
Loud.
Between, I would say around 200.
Yeah.
Closer to 200.
Wow. Believe it or not, Liam, seabird colonies are always messy places. There's lots and lots of babies being born and being hatched, and some don't make it. So there's bones all along this beach. Look, if you look down here, there's a bone. Grant's got some bones over there. There's bones all over the place. So do you know what? We'll have to get counting them. We'll count the bones for you.
All right.
We'll try and find out for you. About 200 there.
Question for us, Mrs. Z's
Yeah,
class.
exactly. And one interesting thing is that normally birds, they need to be light so they can fly. They don't need to fly, so they don't need to have these empty kind of bones or light bones. They need weight. They need to be heavy so they can dive easier and get their food.
All right. That's a very cool adaptation. Mrs. Z's class, do you have another question for us?
We were wondering why they can't fly. Someone else put that in the chat, but I think
¿Por qué no se pueden volar?
Okay.
Why can't penguins fly? ¿Por qué no pueden?
So 66 million years ago, dinosaurs disappeared from our planet. And that was a great opportunity for other animals, including penguins. So 62 million years, penguins appeared for the first time on our planet in New Zealand, in what we call now New Zealand. And they thrived there because they were exploring, diving into the ocean. So they got very good at finding food down in the ocean. And they didn't need to fly. So the populations started to, conquer the southern hemisphere. We have many other species of penguins, but they didn't need to fly because they live in places without predators. So they live in predator-free islands like New Zealand used to be. So they didn't care about flying. They don't fly because they just don't need to, And that was a successful thing long time ago. But now what's happening to the penguins is that they are in trouble because human beings, we are increasing the threats to them. The penguins years ago are not good anymore. That's why half of them are threatened now, and they need our help.
I also just wanted to add that birds and mammals have both returned to the ocean. But if you think about it, birds actually really have an advantage to mammals because they are way more efficient breathers and they can extract way more oxygen with each breath. And so because of that, they can stay down longer and do things like chase fish. And they're really acrobatic under the water.
All right. Very cool. We have a classroom joining us in Massachusetts, some fourth graders,
in Massachusetts.
explorers. Hey, fourth graders. Oh, I think you'll have to type it in the chat for us, Ms. Clifford. The mic's not cooperating. But while you're typing those questions, I'm going to jump to Madame Auger's crew, and let's get them in, and then we'll bring Ms. Clifford's group back in. Hey, Madame Auger, Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Hi there.
Go ahead, ask your question, Blake.
How do the penguins stay warm when they swim?
How do the penguins stay warm when they swim?
¿Cómo los penguins quedan caliente o warm cuando están pequeños?
Okay. So one interesting thing is that even when you see a small penguin covered by feathers, they're not waterproof. So those feathers that penguins have when they are chicks doesn't make them waterproof. So when they are 2 to 3 months old, they change their feathers, they mold, they have the new plumage, the new feathers, and that makes them waterproof. And that allows them to go into the ocean. So when they're very small, they don't what we call thermoregulate. They don't control their body temperature. That's why they need to be cared by their parents. And their parents, the adults, they put on them, they kind of incubate, they continue incubating them, transmitting the heat to them, but as they grow old, they do develop this condition to control their body temperature. And the feathers are amazing because when they go into the ocean, they allow the penguins to keep the warmth into their bodies.
So it's a little bit like a wetsuit, isn't it? In a way, keeps them nice and warm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Madame Auger's crew, do you have one more question there for us? Ooh, lots of hands.
When you first came there, were the penguins nervous to you? Like nervous about you? And if yes, how did they adapt to you?
Okay, so when you first came to the colony, Pablo, were the penguins nervous and afraid of you?
Oh, that's a very good question.
So cuando visitar aquí la primera vez, ellos tienen miedo o no?
That's a good question.
Very good. So these species of penguins, they get used to people when people behave in the right way. So when they are open to visitors and visitors really follow the rules, they follow the management plans, they pay attention to the penguins and they don't bother them, the penguins get used to them, so they are not afraid. But at the beginning, they were very afraid. Their nests were very deep. They were under bushes and very deep nests, so they were not predated or they were not bothered by the humans. But then we started to protect this colony, to make rules that people follow. So it's a fantastic thing because now we bring students, it's an education opportunity. Also, this brings jobs for the local people. So people are perceiving now that protecting the penguins is good for them, is good for their family. So they want penguins to be healthy and happy here.
All right. So I did get a question sent to me from our fourth graders, and they're wondering, Candela, Pablo, what made you so passionate about penguin conservation?
¿Por qué le gustan los pingüinos?
I get a lot of fun working with penguins because I came here and see the behavior. Funny. I laugh a lot when I'm in the colony working, and with the chicks are so cute, beautiful. They're very tiny and cute. And see them in the water also with the cameras, or when you can see them here in the beach in the sea swimming. they are so fast and they swim so fast. Amazing. I love them because of that.
All right. We need to visit Mr. Hancock's class. This is our last camera class, grade 4s in Ontario. How are we doing?
We're doing great. We actually just had a question about the ocean. How do the penguins navigate the ocean? How do they find their way? How do they not get lost? Find their way back?
Great question.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This is a fantastic question, but we don't have a clear answer yet. Most of the wildlife and also birds, we think that they find their way following the magnetic map of our planet, you know? And it's amazing because when we put tracking devices on their back, we see that they go looking for food, so they make circles, but as soon as they get satisfied and they got enough food, they swim straight directly into the colony without losing any energy or time. So they know exactly, even if they are hundreds of kilometers away, they know exactly where to go. So, but this is something that science has not discovered yet. So, and there are so many questions that has not been discovered yet by science.
All right.
That's a really good question.
Do you have one more for us over there?
Absolutely. We know you said that penguins started at 12. Now we're at over 8,000. So the population's going up, which is great. Student was wondering what they can do. We're up here in Canada. How could we help you down in Argentina?
¿Cómo pueden personas ayudar los penguins aquí en otros países? ¿Cómo le pueden ayudar aquí?
Perfect. So there are so many things that we can do for penguins, even if they don't live in our country, even if we don't have an ocean. You know, penguins, we protect the penguins, but we protect the oceans. The oceans provide oxygen. For every time we breathe, every 2 breaths we take, the oxygen of one comes from the ocean. And the ocean also provides food and regulates the weather on the entire planet. Right now, for example, penguins are affected by plastics, even in this remote colony. So plastics come from all over. And if we can avoid single-use plastics, that is a big help for penguins. But there are so many things. You can talk to your peers. You can talk to your parents, to your grandparents. You can post something on social media about something that concerns you. And what I love about penguins is that when we protect their places, they thrive. And this colony is a perfect example that conservation is worthwhile and rewarding. We started working here and it was very hard and we were alone. But penguins were responding to our efforts. And now we see this huge colony. So this can be applied to all the planet and to all the species that live close to everybody. If we protect the places that they need, they will thrive, and we will make a much better planet for them and for all of us.
All right. Great questions from our camera crews today. I know some of them might have to start leaving soon, so I want to bring them in really quickly so that we can see them and get a huge shout out so that the penguins can hear us too. It was so great to have so many of you backstage today with so many great questions. Hopefully you can stick around because we still have our experiment to do. And we'll probably take another quick look at the penguins. But
would you like a last look at a penguin? Should we end on a shot of a penguin?
We should definitely spend a minute or two.
Where would we find one?
Maybe we can explore for a minute or two before we switch over.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No. Let's take a little explore. Let's see.
Okay. Do you want to explore la población? Yeah. Okay. So our wonderful friends are going to show us the population. So if you look around carefully, there's some penguins peeking out of their burrows. What are they up to, Pablo?
So this is a pair of Magellanic penguins. So both the male is here, so you can see that they are slightly bigger, and this is the female. These penguins, they don't have chicks. They don't have chicks this season, but as you can see, this is the nest as we described. They are protected by these bushes, so there's some shadow here. And you can see the difference in the size, you know? This is the male, bigger, and this is the female. The head is
male, female, boy, girl.
Yes.
Exactly. The father, the mother. You know, and we determine that because the size of the head is larger on males, and also the size of the bill is bigger on males in general. So we measure the bill to determine if it's a female or a male.
So while we're exploring, a question came in via the chat. the students noticed a lot of penguins seem to just be standing at the shoreline.
Muchos
What are they
penguins,
doing when they're just
penguinos
standing?
queda cerca el mar. ¿Por qué ellos quedan allá?
Yeah. So at this time of the year, some pairs, they lost their chicks or the eggs. That's normal. That happens. So when they don't need to be in their nest, they just can go to the ocean. But the other thing is that one member of the pair can stay in the nest with the chicks, but the other one, before going into the ocean, they spend some time on the beach, and they do the same thing when they come back. That's why you see like large groups of penguins there. They print their feathers. The feathers are very important for them to keep them waterproof and to keep their body temperature. So they print their feathers, they comb their feathers, and then they go back into their nests.
All right. Well, let's maybe check out one more group of penguins, and then we'll have to let you guys continue your exploration for the day.
Oh, Candela's got one. Candela, what have you got there?
Because we have here an example of that. We tell there is one member of the pair that are taking care of the chicks in the same time as the other one are taking food on the sea. So we can see here one with the two chicks there.
So the babies?
Yes, the two babies there, right there.
Hello, little penguin. Oh, sorry, it's a bit tricky to show you the babies. There's the little chicks down there. There's two of them. Can you guys see?
Yeah, they're tucked in behind. Very cool.
I'm not sure if you guys can see. They're really cute and fluffy little chicks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely amazing. I hate to have to leave. It's been such a treat to be out at the beach, to see the penguins, to learn about the conservation. But Pablo, are you still planning an Instagram live for later?
Just do the live later?
Yes, 12:30.
At 12:30.
Yeah, we're going to do another live from here, also translated in Spanish at the same time. Yeah.
Okay, so if any students want to keep the action going, so 12:30 Argentina time should be 10:30 in Eastern time. So if you want to
in 40 minutes.
Yeah, Global Penguin Society, their Instagram, there'll be a little more penguin action you can tune into. Stewart, Grant, thank you so much for those amazing updates. I saw Tom running around doing some filming in the background. Pablo and Candela, thank you so much for taking us out to the penguins today. It was absolutely incredible.
Oh, well, thank you for having us, Grant. It was lovely. And a big thank you to our wonderful, wonderful friends and hosts.
No, thank you. It's our pleasure.
Oh.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much for taking us out there.
Thank you so much, Joe. And from all the penguins, we say a big goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Amazing. All right. So super hard to leave that, I know, but we have a couple things to wrap up today's World's Most Exciting Classroom. And the first one is to look at the results of our experiment from 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, we wanted to learn how yeast eats and what happens. And to do that, we did a little experiment where we put some water in a bottle, and then we added some yeast, and then we did a few different things to some of the bottles to see what would happen. So in our very first one, we put water in the bottle and we put a balloon on top. And I can show you what happened. Well, it looked like this. Nothing. The water was in there, warm water. Nothing happened to the balloon. We then took the same bottle with some warm water and we put some yeast in and we put the balloon on top. And well, it looked a lot like this. You can see the yeast here down in the bottom. It dissolved into the water, but nothing happened with the balloon. Now in our third bottle, we had the warm water. We put the yeast in, but then we added in some sugar. And so I have a little time-lapse video here, and I will show you what happened this time. So you can see it's quite a bit of a difference from the first two variables that we did in the experiment. You can see the bubbles kind of filling in here, the whole mixture of the water and the sugar and the yeast foamed up. So there were 3 questions that we had to answer in the experiment. And so we're going to talk about those quickly now before I show you this week's experiment. So the first question was, which bottle had the better results? And we saw quite clearly that the bottle with the warm water, the yeast, and the sugar, we had some activity. And so why do we think that happened? Well, the sugar is food for the yeast. So in the other 2 bottles, we didn't have any food for the yeast. So the yeast digests the sugar. When it does that, it creates a gas as its waste, and that's carbon dioxide. And so when you drink something like a pop or a fizzy lemonade, that's what that is as well. Those fizzy bubbles, that's carbon dioxide gas. And so because the gas is taking up more space in the bottle, it pushes outwards and causes the balloon to expand. So our second question was, well, just what's going on? What is that biological process? So we, us mammals, we use respiration most of the time to break down sugar and to generate energy. And that's a big fancy word, an aerobic process. And that just means it needs oxygen. But yeast can do something really, really well called fermentation. So they can generate energy from sugar at low to no oxygen environments. Like our bottle didn't have very much oxygen in it. And that is an anaerobic reaction. So it doesn't require oxygen to break down that glucose. We can do that a little bit, but the yeast is so much better at doing it than us. And that's really important to us because we use that fermentation process in things like brewing drinks like beer or wine. Now, what does yeast play in baking bread? So that was our third question. So yeast makes the dough rise. So when bread is being made, the yeast is mixed in, it spreads out in the flour. And if we leave it, the dough gets airy and puffy and fluffs out a little bit. So the yeast is feeding on sugar in the dough. It's making those tiny bubbles, millions of bubbles before the bread gets baked. And when the bread bakes, the yeast dies. And what we're left with is our light, airy, fluffy bread that we're used to. So if you like your bread nice and fresh and airy, you have to thank yeast and that reaction, that biological reaction for that bread that we do get to eat, that nice fluffy bread. So we have a brand new experiment for this week. Remember, you have 2 weeks to try the experiment in your classroom, or you could try the experiment at home and then send your results in. And I'll share that email address with you shortly. But let's take a look at this week's experiment. It is a really, really cool one. I think you're going to like it a lot. So here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm sure your parents and teachers have told you to always wash your hands before you eat. But have you ever wondered why? The reason is bacteria. Bacteria are tiny microscopic organisms that are so small you can't even see them, but they occur on virtually every surface around you. If you pick up a dirty object, you can get bacteria on your hands. Then if you pick up some food and eat it, you can transfer the bacteria from your hands to your body. And this is why, one of the reasons, you should always wash your hands before eating. In this experiment, we're going to test different surfaces for bacteria and hopefully see different colonies of bacteria grow. The way to do this is to set up agar plates. Agar is a very simple jelly-like substance which bacteria grow very quickly and very well on. Go to your science teacher at school and see if they can give you any Petri dishes to run this experiment. Also ask if they've got any agar powder. People actually use agar for cooking, so you might even have some agar powder at home or in your school's kitchen. So ask your teachers, your family, or your friends if they've got any agar. Then you need to dissolve your agar powder. Get a beaker or cup or container. The exact concentration of agar doesn't absolutely matter so much. It's roughly about half a teaspoon to 50 milliliters of water. Get some hot water, and with the supervision of an adult, pour in to your beaker. I'm going to put in 150 milliliters of water into this beaker. So remember, if it's 50 milliliters to half a teaspoon, you'll be putting in around 1.5 teaspoons into 150 milliliters. So let's put that in there. That's 1.5, and give it a bit of a mix. You can already see it start to dissolve. It's important then to put it in the microwave for about 2 minutes to make sure it all dissolves properly. Then you're ready to begin. So let's quickly go and microwave that. Once your agar has been in the microwave and properly boiled, it should look a little bit like this, a gooey, sticky liquid. So open a Petri dish and pour in a bit of agar. The idea is to try and make sure that the agar's a few millimeters thick all across the Petri dish. About 4 or 5 millimeters is perfect. So something like that. There we go. It'll take an hour or two for your agar to solidify as it cools. So I'll put this over here. So leave that alone for a little while. I've actually got some I made earlier, so we can cheat a little bit and use these. There's 3 I already set up. Once we open the Petri dishes, any bacteria that land or are placed on the surface of the agar will generally grow and form colonies. So this is a really good way of seeing bacteria without the need for a microscope. This experiment is really useful because you can test pretty much any surface for the presence of bacteria. It's really limited only by imagination. Today, I'm going to test the air, my fingers, and also the surface of my phone to see how dirty these different surfaces are. So let's start with air. To test if there's bacteria in the air, this is very simple. All you need to do is open the agar dish and waft it around. You can even breathe on it a little bit if you want to. Let's see what bacteria this agar plate has collected. We'll close that up and write air. For the next test, I'm going to see if there's any bacteria on my fingers. So for this one, open the Petri dish and very carefully make 2 fingerprints on the Petri dish. Let's see if any bacteria grow. I'm going to write on there, fingers. For my last test, I'm going to swab the surface of my phone to see if there's any bacteria on it. You don't have to use a phone though, you can really use any object that you can think of. Door handles work really well. You could also test toys at home, or even the bottom of your shoe, but I'm going to start with my phone. So get a cotton wool bud or a swab like this one here. Make sure that the cotton end is a little bit moist because that'll help pick up the bacteria. And then swab the surface of the object that you're testing. Then open the Petri dish and squiggle the swab over the surface, and with a bit of luck, we should see some bacteria growing. Don't forget to write down on the top of your Petri dish what object you've tested. I'm writing phone here. Perfect. You're now ready to see if any bacteria colonies grow on the agar in any of your 3 Petri dishes. Leave the Petri dishes in a warm location and check back every couple of days, looking very carefully to see if there's any changes taking place. You can repeat this experiment at home. Send in your experiments by completing the information sheet on the DARWIN200.com website. Email in your results to classroom@darwin200.com over the next 2 weeks for a chance to win 3 £50 Amazon voucher prizes. Join me in 2 weeks' time to see the results of my Petri dish bacteria colony experiment. Good luck and see you then.
All right, so there we go. That is our experiment. You have 2 weeks to try that experiment in your classroom or at home. Take some pictures and share them with us. And because we really want to see those results. And as Stu mentioned, the top 3 results that are sent to us, we will send £50 Amazon gift vouchers to your classroom. And you want to send it into classroom@darwin200.com. So 2 weeks, and then we'll reveal the results and we'll notify the winners. And then last week, we grew our cress seeds. We were growing cress seeds under different conditions. So you still have 1 week to get in your results for that experiment. You can find all of the experiments in a playlist on the Darwin200 YouTube channel. So if you missed an experiment, you can catch up on it there. Now, to finish off, we have our curiosity of the week. What was the answer to last week's curiosity? Let's find out.
Everyone, could you guess the identity of last week's curiosity? This strange object here with this incredibly intricate structure? Well, it's actually a species of deep sea sponge. It grows at about 500 meters down in the water. It's called a Venus's flower basket sponge. And this structure is basically the skeleton of the sponge. Sponges are actually a type of animal and they filter feed the water. But this one has a very special story. It rattles. There's something very small inside. As this species of sponge grows, it often imprisons shrimps. The shrimps spend their entire lives inside the sponge, and they have a special mutualistic relationship. The shrimp inside actually then cleans the sponge and takes away waste particles and food that the sponge traps, so it keeps the sponge clean. So if you guessed a Venus's flower basket sponge, you are absolutely correct. Well done for taking part, and let's see if you can identify the next curiosity of the week.
All right, so curiosity of the week, we have a new one coming your way. 1 week to send in your answer to the same spot, classroom@darwin200.com. Let's look at this week's curiosity.
Back, everyone. Can you identify this week's curiosity? It's this object here. What do you think this might be? It has these very sharp spikes. Do you think it could be a bone, or a type of insect, or a part of a plant? Join us next week to find out the identity of this strange object.
Okay, so there we go. That's this week's curiosity. You have 1 week to send your answer to classroom@darwin200.com. Well, this was another incredible world's most exciting classroom. I can't believe we got to spend time in Patagonia with Pablo and Candela, Stewart and Grant, and you may have saw Tom darting around a little bit in the background. He's making a film which will release maybe in the next coming weeks from their time at the Penguin Colony. Thank you to all the classrooms who joined us live today. Thank you to the classrooms in camera spots. Thank you to the classrooms joining in via YouTube. Thanks for playing Kahoot. That was a wild round of Kahoot. Next week, we will be live sailing from the ship on our way to the Falklands. So we'll have our event on Thursday, and I will share more of that on our website and in our newsletter. So we'll be live from the Falklands, and the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth is going to join us live as well. So it should be a lot of fun. We couldn't do this without our sponsors, without all of our partners for the Darwin 200. And so that's how we like to end off every event, with a huge thank you to our sponsors and our supporters. Actually, we still have a couple classrooms hiding out backstage, so I want to bring them in if they want to wave. Thank you so much. We have a few classrooms still back there. It was great to see you. I see Mr. Hancock still hiding out back there too. It was great to have your classes with us, and we can't wait to see you again in another live event. Thanks so much for being with us today, everyone.